Good afternoon. This is Chris Jones and Makaila Jones with Sampson Properties, and we're here with Marcus Howard with American Housing today. And we're going to just talk a little bit about this fantastic affordable housing project in DC.
Sounds
So
good.
Marcus,
Sounds good.
I'm going to let you take it. Explain to us basically what it is in a nutshell.
Well, first, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. So, American Housing, we are a developer in DC focused on mixed income housing for lower income residents, affordable housing, workforce housing in general. We started a few years back now, post-COVID, and understanding there was a need in the market and that affordable housing is kind of a critical issue, not just here in DC, but across the country. So we set out to kind of prove that we could create affordable housing, not just kind of in lower income neighborhoods where a lot of people sometimes tend to think about it, but in higher Class A neighborhoods in DC and beyond.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
We are so excited to interview you because we just love your mission and we want to spread the word as much as possible. So I feel like this is going to be really great for people to really understand what you guys are doing.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And also we want to let you guys know that Makaila and I have both invested with this project, so we're extremely excited about it and we believe in it.
Yeah, so I think we should get into the foundation and the mission.
Okay, so why did American Housing come to be? Like, where did it start? Like, where did the idea start?
Great question. So, affordable housing has always been kind of a big deal to me from the beginning when I first started getting into real estate. I think initially I was focused, when I was younger, focused more on things like act rehab projects and kind of fix and flip deals and things like that. However, talking to my family and talking to friends and kind of seeing things in the community, recognizing that affordable housing was a major problem and weren't a whole lot of mechanisms around to really solve it. So my partners, Jason Wiles and Adam Labini, we kind of came together collectively and created a blueprint where we thought was the best way to really solve affordable housing, especially in urban cities. So we came together collectively and we kind of realized one of the biggest issues is kind of the perception of affordable housing, and where most of the affordable housing buildings are located are typically in lower income neighborhoods and where schools necessarily aren't the best, which creates a whole systemic issues, for the residents to really have that kind of positive impact that they're hoping for. So, our goal was to see if we could do it a little bit differently. And, we kind of came together collectively with this in mind, and we're able to establish a lot of strong relationships and resources to kind of help support us and get it off the ground. And, here we are 5 years later, still going.
I think that's what sets you guys apart, though, is how you're looking at it differently and how you're approaching it differently. And just putting these families in these neighborhoods is changing their lives. And the fact that you guys can do it is just incredible.
Yeah. What is the biggest pushback you've had from the public?
Yeah.
Is it perception?
Perception.
Yeah.
I mean, understandably, I think when people think of affordable housing, they just have a certain image in their head of kind of what it looks like. And again, it's typically in lower income neighborhoods. They're typically thinking of residents that don't really have plans beyond just their current situation. So, there was a lot of pushback initially, especially when we're bringing buildings into neighborhoods where you typically don't find affordable workforce housing there. So it definitely took a lot of work on our side to kind of prove to the community there's a different way that it can be executed. With the right resources and with the right team and the right care, we can bring buildings that look good. All of our buildings are fully renovated, so they look nice, they're not an eyesore to the community. And then we bring a lot of nonprofit resources as well too to support the residents and and give them the opportunity to really be successful.
Can you really quickly, before we go on to impacting community, explain what resources you provide to them other than just the affordable housing in general?
Great question. I think we always say providing a safe space is the first step, but can't be the only step, right? So for us, setting up our nonprofit was a big part of the business model. And the nonprofit's role is to provide a whole suite of services to the residents beyond just what the property management company does. So our focus from a nonprofit standpoint is we focus on financial education, we focus on health and wellness, job training, and a pathway to home ownership. I think for our model, we're really intentional about not having a tenancy for life type of strategy. We want our tenants to be able to take advantage of the resources and opportunities and be able to excel and live beyond just this housing, this temporary housing that we have for them, right? So setting them on a path where they can be self-sustained, where they can get their own jobs, and eventually, if they want, become homeowners or business owners is a key part of our business.
That's incredible.
So really a stepping stone, a good place to step, really.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It can be. And we understand it may not be for everyone, of course, but that opportunity is what we feel like is lacking in a lot of other communities and for a lot of other people. So we at least want to provide that opportunity and also provide that encouragement and motivation so that people have the opportunity to have that impact and to level up.
And you bring that education to the building that they're living in. It's really, I mean, you're just setting them up for success. And I've never seen this before.
Not both parts of it, where you had the nonprofit and the business part of it.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate that we have capital partners that support this mission because, depending on who you're partnered with, they may not have the same vision. Case in point, in one of our buildings, we were able to build out a 3,000 square foot community space. And in that community space, we can host a lot of these classes and bring these resources there so that the residents have easy access to it. So, that's in lieu of necessarily developing more units, right? So we had to have the right thoughtful stakeholders that wanted to be involved in a project like this that wasn't just about, bottom line returns, but also wanted to have that impact as well too.
Right. So you have a lot of bigger investors as well as smaller individual investors.
We do. We've been fortunate to work with the CDFI community, which is the Community Development Financial Institutions. Those are essentially like nonprofit banks who support projects that are community driven. That's a big part of their mission as well too, so we aligned with them. And then we've also been fortunate to work with the Amazon Home Equity Fund, who invested with us back in December of 2023 and are reinvesting with us now.
That's great.
And Amazon's been huge supporter of what we've been doing and a huge component of why we've been able to be successful.
And you're seeing that in this area, it's been really successful. But are they doing this type of thing in other areas also?
They are. So Amazon's fund is set up to allocate funds towards affordable workforce housing where they are headquartered. So they're here, they're in Seattle, they're in other areas as well too, but where they're headquartered. But what's really great about them is I think they're leading the way for other large corporations to start doing the same thing, which is great. Google and Apple are also starting to look into the program and seeing the positive PR Amazon is getting back and seeing the benefits of, having these dollars reallocated to mission and projects like ours and ourselves. We think these type of relationships is really the pathway that kind of helps solve affordable housing across the country, not just here, but this is where we're starting first.
I can't wait to see it grow.
Yeah.
Speaking of impacting community, of all the communities that you've helped, what impact are you most proud of?
I think it is the smaller changes that sometimes we overlook, that sometimes can have the greatest impact. When we first got started, I was gung-ho, couldn't wait to see the metrics on how many people, are buying homes now, starting their own businesses and doing this and doing that. And that's still the goal, but that takes time, right? Some of the initial changes that, we may have overlooked are just as simple as relocating children that are going in, schools that don't have the same accreditations as some of the better schools. That's where our buildings are right now. And just that change from an education standpoint can have a huge impact on the children, of course. Getting out of food deserts and having access to better health foods and services and things like that, just that in itself is huge. And then safety. You come out of a neighborhood that is higher in crime and lower income to one that is, relatively more safe for your kids coming home from school and things like that. It just creates a mindset shift.
So you've definitely seen impact in the morale.
Immediately, yes, immediately. And a gratitude from the residents, when they be able to, be able to explore and have those opportunities.
Right.
That's like an unforeseen impact that is just so profound.
Correct.
On top of the long term, that's gonna happen.
Exactly.
It's really, really neat.
Yeah.
Exactly. And a big part of the strategy is making sure that the residents have relationships within each other, within the building, right? We do neighborhood cleanups, we do back to school drives,
I was
we do
just gonna
things
ask,
like
how
that.
do you do that?
To really engage, because we want the residents to know their neighbors and we want them to know the neighbors that they're living with in that community as well too. That's a big part of it. Community support is such a big deal and it's lacking a lot of times in other communities and other cultures. So trying to really establish that is a big piece. We think of helping the community stay motivated and stay engaged and supporting each other as opposed to kind of that old school crab effect of trying to pull each other down.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that was my follow-up question was, what does community mean to you personally? And I think it reflects in your career, but do you believe that that is a reflection of your career as well?
It is. I mean, community is a huge part of what I believe in terms of what's important and to foster success. I think in a lot of communities there's that lack of supporting each other. It's more competitive as opposed to collaboration. So we're trying to break down that mindset and reestablish a new positive way of going about it and supporting your neighbor and your neighbor supporting you. Even some of the buildings we're doing, aftercare and aftercare daycare for the children. A lot of the residents in there want to be a part of it, which is great. So now you have your neighbors, kind of looking after your children, which is kind of how my mom and my grandmother used to tell me a lot of their neighborhoods were back in the day, where the kids would go outside and you had lady down the street, looking after your kids as well too and watching out. Like I would love to kind of bring that back. But it starts with again having those kind of core relationships and finding community and residents that kind of have the same long-term vision as well too. Come take advantage of the resources, really support your family and your community, and looking just to improve your situation status.
I love that. And I love that you brought up your grandma and your mom. I feel like America in general is very individualistic.
Yes.
And so hearing this type of community, I'm like, dang, I want to be like that. I want a community like that because it's hard, but
it is hard.
It's so special once you have it.
It is hard, and you're right about that. About the mentality here is kind of that separation. Kids go off to college, just not really invited back home. You're like stay off to your own thing, like you're an adult and goodbye, and all that. Where a lot of other cultures, they don't do that. They stay within the same household. They support each other. Even when they have kids, they have their grandparents right there to help take care of the kids. I think just that thought process of taking care of family and community is important.
Yeah, I like the community part a lot. So where do you see this? Do you have quite a few more projects that are going to be going on in DC? Or are you where are you? What's the next step?
Yeah, so we do have a pretty extensive pipeline in DC in particular. The market's been.
So it's a movement.
It's a movement, definitely.
I love that.
The market's been crazy this last year. Of course, everybody's kind of feeling that. At the same time, though, there are certainly a lot of opportunities at this point that are less construction heavy, that are more, we call them stabilized takeovers, where we can buy buildings and kind of with some operational improvements and some upgrades, we can start receiving cash flow almost immediately from those investments. So we kind of see those deals a lot right now and expecting that to be the case for the next 12 to 24 months.
What is the biggest challenge you face in creating more affordable housing today?
Scaling a business is difficult no matter what the business is, of course. And I think identifying and finding the right partnerships is challenging. A lot of people get into real estate not necessarily for the impact side, it's more for the return side of things.
Definitely,
so, for us, we embody having investors that have both, the desire to make money, but also the willingness and want to help people as well too. So that's extremely important for us, but it also makes the process a little bit slower, right? And finding the right partnership. So although we may have a lot of opportunities in front of us in buildings, we don't move on those buildings until we've aligned the right partnerships to execute. So we'd rather have, slow and steady organic growth than moving too fast and failing in our mission.
Yeah. Is there a certain process you go through with these investors? Like, do you ask them a certain set of questions, or do you kind of look at how they run their business to see if it aligns with your business?
It's a combination of both.
Okay.
We're certainly very transparent with kind of our mission and kind of what we see that's important for us. We definitely don't shy away from the fact that we are people driven first and impact first. So, kind of seeing the response to that and thoughts to that question kind of is very telling. But, we are loud and proud about the fact that we're in this to really have the positive impact that we want. In addition, of course, to having and providing solid returns to our investors.
I love it so much. I really do. If you could change one thing about how America approaches housing, what would it be? Because we are in a housing crisis. I know and
that's a big question.
Answer is probably really difficult.
It's a challenging one because this is capitalism, right? And capitalism drives up prices in the market. So it's kind of hard to think of the way our society runs now. The solution. Are relying on the government to kind of provide that solution. I think for us, what we are happy with is that we think we have a kind of a private partnership relationship with corporations like Amazon and like some of these other ones that actually solves the problem for higher pricing in real estate, because unfortunately that's probably not going away. Prices aren't going to just all of a sudden drop so everybody can afford it. So we kind of have to be creative in our relationships and our business model to kind of help solve the problem and not being so dependent on regulations and government.
Yeah,
Right,
I like that. It's definitely a creative business model
It
you guys
is.
have.
It's creative and people forward. And I
Yes.
think if maybe everyone else moved that way,
Yes.
that would be a good solution.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you balance the business side of development with the human side of housing?
That's a good one too, right? That's a good one. So, again, back to those relationships and back to those partnerships, right? Like we know what we do well.
Yeah.
And what we do well is buying real estate and renovating and getting it ready. While we have the passion and the desire to help people, help our community, and help our residents, that's not necessarily where the best use of our time on a full-time basis. So, we hire and we work with other nonprofits who are doing that work every day and have been doing that work for 20, 30 years. We rely on their expertise and their leadership to tell us how to, what's the best way to approach our residents, what are services that they need. We hire a lot of our own caseworkers and case managers to work alongside of our residents. So, they actually feel like their voice is being heard and somebody's there on a regular basis to provide that support. So, again, back to those relationships and back to those partnerships are so extremely important because we can't do it all ourselves.
Right now.
Right, so that's how we approach it.
I love that. Yeah, it's amazing.
So Marcus, when you imagine the future of American housing as a whole, what do you see? What do you see it stopping here in DC? Do you see you guys going further? What's the future here?
Yeah, it's exciting, honestly, to think about it from that perspective. I mean, DC is where we're starting, and that's our core focus, and we'll be here, for the next year or two. But no, the goal is to take the model that we think is, can be replicated across the country and other markets as well too, right? Especially with the capital partners that we have working with us right now. They're pushing us a bit to start going into other markets, right? But we obviously want to stabilize what we have here first. But again, we think we can work with a lot of the local developers in other markets, kind of showcase this model to them, show them that we can, do well by doing good. We can put people first and still provide solid profits to our investors, and start partnering with those developers as well too as we kind of go across the country.
Great.
Where do you see yourself next? What cities?
Yeah, so we're certainly looking at Chicago, Atlanta, New Jersey, and New York, as well as in California as well too. So
coast to coast.
Coast to coast.
I can't wait to see that.
Yes.
That's gonna be so exciting.
So you guys are already making moves for these?
We are already making relationships in these
Okay, there you
places,
go.
absolutely,
Okay.
because that's what comes first. So
Right.
so the goal, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll start branching out to those other markets as well.
Fantastic.
Incredible.
So, how can the average person be involved with this project? Like, how could someone? There's several ways they can be involved. They can volunteer. They can be involved in the investment side.
Yeah.
Tell us how that can happen?
Sure. So we welcome any and all that have the heart and desire to want to support what it is that we're doing. So correct, on the volunteer side, on our nonprofit, we work with a lot of volunteers that want to come in and meet with the residents or on workshops. A lot of times we had insurance companies that want to come in and start educating our residents on life insurance and family planning. They're coming to us.
Yeah.
Life insurance and family planning. That's a big deal and something that we want to educate our residents community on. Bankers about just savings and setting up savings accounts and things like that, of course. And also our events when we do neighborhood cleanups and things like that as well too. Volunteers that want to kind of help and support by all means.
Okay.
We know we don't have all the answers. So when someone comes with a great idea that they want to, do something for our seniors or for the children or for women or for this or for that, we're open, right? Like we want to kind of provide the foundation, and we want to invite folks that have, again, similar desires and passions to come and engage with our residents in our community. So we certainly welcome that, of course.
I love that.
So that's one very important way. Another way, of course, is if there's an interest in investing as well too, and wanting to have some ownership as what we offer our investors in the buildings that we are purchasing. There's certainly the doors open for that as well too. We welcome friends and family and have a pretty large friends and family group of investors now, as you all know, that participate in these buildings, and a lot of benefits that come from that, from tax benefits, of course, and long-term wealth building, as they would own a piece of it in perpetuity.
Absolutely. So they can invest financially, but they can also invest their time and
Absolutely.
their knowledge, and if they have specific things that they want to maybe educate, they could
Absolutely.
do that. Okay.
We would welcome all of that, definitely.
How about for a chance for actually working or being employed by the nonprofit part of it? Is there an opportunity there?
Are you guys growing?
There are opportunities there as well too, certainly. You say part of the challenges earlier, that's definitely part of the challenges. You know, as you start getting into it and start seeing some of the desires and wants of the community, you know, we're trying to do that. We're trying to fulfill those things, but that takes manpower and takes time and energy and effort, of course. So we are certainly looking to expand our relationship base with folks that are looking to come in and help. So yes, definitely.
So there's a lot of ways to be involved with American
Absolutely.
Housing.
A lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. There's just a few questions I had. I don't know
I
if
feel
you
like
had any-
I have one question for
Okay.
someone who's watching who loves the idea of this, but they're not quite sure how you
Yeah.
do it.
Mm.
In a nutshell, could you explain how you do it and why you guys are different? And I know it's probably really difficult.
Yeah,
it's
the
very
secret sauce,
complex,
right?
Yeah.
That's the secret sauce. I mean, you know, real estate in general all starts with finding the right property at the right price. And so that's kind of where it starts.
Yeah.
So, you know, thankfully that's been,
That's your expertise.
that's been our expertise, is finding those opportunities. So that's usually the place it starts. You know, you find the right building, and second is you start lining up the right relationships to execute that deal, right? I think, you know, we come from a mindset of sharing the pot,
Yeah.
right? You can do more, you know, with the right team involved as opposed to trying to hold it all to yourself. So inviting partners and understanding and learning as well too, because each deal can be a little bit different as well too and unique.
I bet.
It's kind of where you start, and that involves kind of putting the capital stack together as well too with your team to execute.
Okay.
So
So one of the other questions we had, and it's kind of deep, is
Okay.
what is this kind of work taught you that you didn't know maybe about humanity
yeah,
or about human nature
Yeah.
and how your business is affected or how you affect people?
that is a deep question. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
Yeah, I think you know.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I think
But you're seeing people move into these properties and
we're seeing the
already,
impact that
yeah.
we're having,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. I think, you know, especially starting off my career, you know, you're aggressive, you're motivated, you're trying to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what the focus is making profits. I think what this has shown me is that, you know, putting people first generates way more profit than you can ever imagine.
Wow.
Wow.
Right? You got to think of it like the greater the problem that you're able to solve, the more benefits, profit, money you'll make from that, from
Yeah.
solving that problem. And
So
problems
good.
come from, you know, solving the problems of people. So
Right.
putting them first is the priority. And, you know, that has been a huge mindset shift, and it has been a beautiful thing to kind of become aware of and recognize. And it took some time to kind of let that my old school mindset go, of course,
Yes.
chasing dollars all the time. But, you know, seeing it now and seeing this all come to fruition, like it's true, and it's a beautiful thing.
I feel like that's kind of on par with the saying that money flows through loose hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like the more you give, the more it just comes
You
to
just-
you, and you just
Correct.
keep giving it, you know,
Correct.
back to the world. So I think that's really, really cool that
Yeah.
you've achieved that.
It's been awesome to see.
Yeah. And I guess I have one more question.
Okay,
if
go
that's
ahead.
okay. What do you want your legacy to be in the housing world?
Oof. I would. These are good. Yeah. Oof, I love it. I think we would want our legacy to be establishing a new model, new business model in terms of how we approach affordable housing, workforce housing, and changing the perspective of it. I think that's the biggest piece why people kind of stay away, is because they have this image of it,
Absolutely.
and therefore they decide to do something else. So if we
Yeah.
can change that perspective based on a business model that is very different than how it's been done in the past, then that would be huge, because that would invite more people to participate, and that's what we need. You know, the biggest difference I think in this space of, you know, affordable workforce housing versus kind of fix and flip and profit driven deals is that there's no competition, right?
Wow.
Affordable housing is
Yeah.
across the country. There's no fighting with anybody over deals.
Right.
We all can do this. I want to teach more people to do it, right? There's so much more collaboration than in the other space where we're all fighting over the same deal of the same property.
Yeah.
It's not in this space, so I love that, and I want to show other people that to invite them more and participate.
Yeah, and that's kind of exhausting in that space of fix and flipping and going for the
It's
dollar.
very
It's
exhausting.
exhausting. Yeah, it's competitive,
Yes.
and what's the bottom line? The
Correct.
dollar. Yeah.
Correct. This is
So-
a very different space.
And stress too.
Correct.
So So I'm sure
Correct.
there's stress involved.
There's
with
still some
this.
stress, yes, there's still some stress, you know,
Yeah.
but the stress in terms of helping people versus just trying to maximize your profit on a
Yeah.
deal is the stress that I can live with.
You can take, yeah.
That I can take.
I
can go
like
for
that.
Now, as far as an investor, though, we touched on this a little bit, but someone who does want to come into this not to volunteer, not to be involved in a nonprofit, but they want to come in and they have an extra $50,000 or $100,000 or whatever.
Mhm.
Are they welcome to do that?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So happy
Okay.
to share some of our upcoming
Okay.
projects. You know, all the projects are different in terms of scale and size, but the returns for all the investors are the same.
Are the same. So there is benefit. There's, all the way around.
Absolutely.
So, okay, I think, is there
Thank you
anything
so
else
much
you
for
wanted
your
to
time.
add to
Of
this?
course. You know,
That
I
you
really
wanna
appreciate,
Tell the group,
you
tell.
know, well,
Get
I
out there.
appreciate just being here. You know, our company, we're not very big on putting ourselves out there, and you know,
And
no-
we're like, put it in there. So
for no
excited.
other reason other than we've just been concentrating and focused on the work. But we really
Yeah.
appreciate you all for kind of helping us tell the story and putting it out there, as we do want more people to be aware and be involved as well too. So really appreciate you both. for
No
having me here.
problem.
Thank you so much.
We, as we mentioned before, are personally invested
Mm.
in some of these projects with this company, and we are just, I'll speak for myself, and you can speak for yourself, but I'm in love with their mission.
Yes.
And that's why we wanted to help get it out there, and so other people can also learn about it and potentially be involved in one of the ways that Marcus said before.
Yeah.
Really
So,
appreciate
The
it.
same way, and we're just really honored to be a part of this and be able to educate other people, and the fact that we even had the opportunity
Mhm.
to invest with you guys,
Mhm.
we're just really grateful. So yeah, I love your mission statement. When I invested, I was 100% full confidence because of your mission statement. I would never want my money to go somewhere where I didn't fully believe in the mission.
Yeah.
And I really do. And thank you for your time.
Really appreciate that. Thank you both.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.